This is Subject to Approval, where we dive into the chaos, challenges and curveballs of today's business and agency world. No jargon, no waffle, just fast, fearless conversations about what's breaking and what's working in your business today.
All right. Hey, Steve.
Hey, Rebecca. Lovely to see you as always.
Yeah, you too. I wanted to have a conversation today around an observation of strategic input at agencies and the increasing need to have strategists back in networks.
Yep.
They fell out of networks. They fell out of agencies. And we can talk about, well, why and how did that all happen?
Yep.
And clients have complained about a lack of strategic offering from agencies, right? The quality of the work has suffered, and there's been a lot of complaints coming back about that. We can talk about what does strategy mean to different people, whatever. But I just wanted to talk about that interesting cycle of strategists specifically fell out of the industry, right, for whatever reasons. Clients saw quality went down. Now agencies are chasing themselves to bring strategists back into the industry. Do we think that's the answer to the problem?
Well, I think it's a really interesting question. And I think sort of two things that I want to put on the table. It's lovely when this happens. I've watched industries and clients where they downsized and then hired back the people they downsized as consultants at twice the salary. I was like, you could have just kept them on in the first place. So there was this whole, so the industry found it hard to pay for strategists, and now they're finding it hard to live without them.
Indeed.
We don't know what they do. Let's get rid of them. Oh, the quality's gone. Oh, maybe that was the strategist we got rid of. How do we fill that gap again?
And for the strategists in my life, I love you to pieces.
So, and again, cards on the table. I was a strategist for a long time, and I loved being, what do you do for a living, Steve? I'm the guy with the whiteboard. The idea of flying around the world and talking to people about what they needed and their thinking and their insights and the people, it was fantastic, yet somewhat intangible.
Yes, indeed.
It's an increasingly, the strategic element of a project was embedded as part of the project. I would estimate probably 80% of the strategy project I worked on were inside a larger project.
Totally.
And there are big standalone strategy projects which are great, and the output is the strategy. But as that element was embedded inside a larger project, it was easy to see that as the element that could get squashed in terms of deliverable, in terms of time, and in terms of cost. And as that value diminished, the ability to charge for it diminished as well. And I think it was seen as being almost a luxury to have strategists working on these things.
I can visualize this, right? I can visualize the procurement team coming into the marketing budget and saying, the advertising scope and just going, red pen, we don't need that. We only need a little bit of that. Strategist, you have two people, we'll just have 0.5 of a person because we're only going to get them to work on 2 projects. The rest of the projects don't need strategic resource. Like, you can see how this happened.
Or somebody else can do that. Oh, the creative team can do that. Oh, the client servicing team
are really clever. They add strategic resource. Yeah,
they can do all that all the time. What is it? Well, it's some market research, isn't it? They can do that. So I think that's why it dropped out. And then, as always, as it moved through the snake, the quality has dropped.
That's a weird expression. I don't know.
When a boa constrictor eats a kitten, you slowly see the lump move down through its body.
Okay,
so as it's moved through, they're going, oh, hang on, what's hitting the market isn't strategically grounded. What's hitting the market, we have all these solutions where there wasn't a problem. We have all these brands launching products and solutions and adverts and campaigns that look like all the other ones because they've almost been done on autopilot because there's been no solid thinking. And I think similarly to a couple of weeks ago when we were talking about sales, there's a weight and a history and a set of assumptions around the word. So the word sales makes people go, The word strategy makes people go, oh,
really?
Ideally. Well, no, but it makes them go, oh, that's somebody else's thing.
That's the brainy people.
The brainy people with the whiteboards. That's their job. Yeah. And strategy has to be a big separate project with some market research and some money and consumer groups and lots of whiteboard time and spreadsheets, and a strategy project has to be this big thing. And I can't get that big thing into my project. I can't build that big thing into my timeline. So because strategy is this thing, let's not do it.
Right.
Whereas if we just talked about thinking,
yes,
let's put some thought into this. Let's spend a little bit of time to step back and consider the options. Let's think about, well, what is the real need? What is the actual consumer want? What is the touch point that's going to resonate? What is the message that's actually going to engage? Maybe it doesn't matter at this point if it's blue or red or Helvetica, or it's hitting social media, or it's hitting outdoor. If the message isn't connecting, the color, the shape, the style, the pictures, the media doesn't really matter. And that, I think, is the area that's disappeared. And fear of strategy has prevented us from thinking almost at all.
All right. I want to caveat that by saying agencies are filled with very clever people, like very clever people who are not strategists. So the thinking is happening. It's just not necessarily being applied in a way a strategist might.
And that's exactly the point I'd like to make is strategy isn't just done by strategists.
Yeah.
So the industry is full of incredibly smart client service people, incredibly smart creative people who would say, no, I don't do strategy. Whereas, in fact, they're completely capable of doing strategy. They're completely capable of, once it's broken down into, well, these are the things we do, they go, okay, it's who are we talking to? What are we saying? How are we differentiating? If you remove some of the jargon, you remove some of the mystery around it. And every industry and every group within an industry loves creating a mystique around what they do. It makes you feel valuable. If we demystify that, I believe there are some occasions where a dedicated strategist is needed to work on a challenge. But a lot of the time, a super smart creative, a super smart client service person, a super smart whatever
planner,
is able to do this if they are given permission, if they're given the confidence they can do it, and if they're given the structure and the buckets in which to put these things. And I don't see, and maybe you think differently, I don't see a situation where strategists are brought back in wholesale into the roles they once sat in at the scale they used to be.
Potentially not at the same scale, but I am definitely seeing an investment back into strategic resource in the network agencies. Just to be clear, another thing I haven't mentioned is where a lot of that strategic resource went was into creating independent agencies that have been killing it.
Yes.
I mean, so impressive.
The strategy at the heart of what they did.
Exactly. So all of a sudden they are getting paid for incredible thinking and for the work that they love doing. And I love that the networks are now seeing, okay, there is an opportunity for that value to be sold into clients. We don't need to just strip it out, and they are investing to bring it back.
So let's say it in three different ways. So there's three paradigms here. There is the agency group that removed this, see the loss, and are refilling it. They're the agency groups that removed this, and whether they do or do not see the loss, they're unable to refill it. The budget's got stripped, the margins disappeared, they cannot fill that.
They're investing in tools instead.
There are also, I wouldn't call them that, but there are also the agencies that have grown up during this with a super smart founder. And that might be a super smart MD and a super smart CD and a super smart media strategist who've built it up. And their inherent strategic capabilities have driven the business to that point. They didn't need a standalone strategy person because they had strategy embedded in them as individuals. But as they've grown, they are no longer bringing their brains, which had a strategic element that they probably didn't even call strategy, to those projects. Those projects are wider, there's more people, and that absence is noticed. Now, rephrase it. The absence is tangible in the outputs, but not necessarily noticed by them because it was never there. They never realized it was there in the first place. It was being invisibly added.
Okay, I feel like we've gone from a triangle to actually a bit of a square. So we've got the networks who had let go of strategists and who are now bringing them back in.
Yeah.
And that's a nuance, right? That is, not, like you say, they're not bringing back a whole service department.
No.
They're bringing back an investment in those skill sets, a few key people who can drive projects and improve the thinking of the output, right? So that is happening. Then there are the networks who are not able to, or not finding the investment to be able to bring strategists in, and they're challenged in a different way. So we can maybe come back to how would we find a solution for them. Then there's the independents who have a strategy built into their culture and continue to succeed in that space. And then we have the independent agencies who have always had it, but now,
as they scale, the individuals that were invisibly bringing it.
Yeah.
They were bringing strategy to the table without realizing they were bringing strategy.
Yeah, and as they scale, they're losing that quality of output. They can't
spread across everything.
They haven't noticed actually that.
So the two areas I think we're talking about. So the groups that recognize what's happened and are trying to rebuild that, whether it is smaller teams, fractional hires, however that works. Great. I think these two other areas we're talking about. So, what do you do when you recognize that there's a need, but you're just not going to be able to free up the resource or the budget to fill it?
Yes.
And what do you do when what got you here won't get you there? We just did it, but now we're at scale now where we realize we can't just do it anymore.
Okay, so what's the answer? We need more strategic output. We need our clients to compliment us on the quality of the product and recommendations going out the door, but we're not going to invest in strategists.
Yeah. So I think to go back to your point earlier, and I could be, kicking myself off the chair here, but there are super smart people in the business already who don't think strategy is their job in the same way they don't necessarily think growth is their job, but now it is. But telling people to be more strategic isn't the answer. Saying, well, we need to put strategy in. Yeah, okay, well, that's, as we said, it's like telling the cycling team, have you thought about pedaling faster?
Yeah.
We know we need to be more strategic. The clients told us that. How? And I think there is an element of understanding that it is part of what people need to do, that they are capable of doing it, that they're capable of doing it really well, and giving them and I hate it, I'm going to use the P word, the process to follow, the buckets within which to drop things, and the way to then bring that back together. So if we need, as part of a strategic input to a project, we need to look at the category, we need to look at the consumer, we need to look at the differentiation, we need to look at the messaging. How do we do that and then put it together into a cohesive strategic piece?
So if I'm hearing what you're saying here, strategist is not a role, it's a culture.
Ooh, I'd say I think having a strategic culture.
Yeah.
Where strategy
that's so possible, right?
Where strategy is not seen as a bolt-on.
Yeah.
I've genuinely worked with agencies where the creative work and the strategy work was started on the same day.
Yeah.
So the strategy work was delivered, was finished, and then just put at the front of the creative work. And it was a heck of a job to create one slide that tied the strategic outputs, because they were both just seen as billable things.
Yeah.
And that was completely the wrong way of doing it.
It's idiotic is what it is. Yeah.
Until the client spots the fact that, hang on, you're just charging us for this thing that's not being used at all.
I see a lot of feedback from clients too, saying your strategic work is excellent, it doesn't follow through to execution.
Yeah.
Like, not helpful.
Yeah.
Right, not helpful.
Yeah, I worked on a pitch once, and the client bought one of the strategy slides as the campaign, and it was a visual illustration of the point we were making, and they thought it was the ad.
Oh, bless.
And luckily, the people in the room were smart enough to go, yeah, we like that one too.
Oh, bless.
And the client wanted what was a divider slide as part of the strategy presentation. But love it, they know what they wanted. So I think, so it's, and again, just to demystify this of strategy isn't something done in an ivory tower by people surrounded by dusty books. Let's just think about it as thinking.
So give me a second on there. So if strategy is not a role, It is a part of a culture.
It's a way of working.
In order to get there, we first need to demystify.
Yep.
We need to reframe.
Yep.
So this is absolutely what we've done with, the sales piece.
Yep.
How do you turn your client servicing people into growth people?
Yeah.
So we're turning client servicing people and everybody in the agency into a strategic thinker.
Yeah.
We demystify what does that mean. We reframe that. We give people the confidence and the skills to know that they can do this.
And then we give them the tools, and we give them the way of working, and we give them a flow to follow.
Yeah. And then it becomes part of the culture.
Sense. And then it becomes something that you just do.
Yeah. Yeah.
Why would you not do
Indeed.
that? Why would you go straight to the media plan, or straight to the scope, or straight to the proposal, or straight into the creative work without thinking about it?
So speaking to my agency leader friends and clients who are trying to drive innovation this year, that are really trying to shift the needle and bringing innovative solutions for their clients, what's holding you back from doing exactly this? I'd love to hear that.
And we'd love to help you with it.
Oh, we can help you with that.
This is just, it's wonderful, and we work in such a great industry with such fantastic people and have such interesting conversations. But this one really gets me going.
Yeah, of course it does from being from
it's all great, but this is really great. But it really is it's not a mountain.
No.
It's just a reframe of thinking, and it's as much as we want to demystify and reframe growth, demystifying and reframing thinking is such an easy thing to do.
What I love about this is it gives the CSOs in your business and your strategic directors in your business, it gives them a team, a cast of thousands, right?
Yeah.
You're not replacing that chief strategic officer. You're empowering them with an incredible, breadth of people who can elevate all of the work, not just the work that person gets to touch.
I think right, and I think we need to say that of course there's an important role for a CSO, for a strategy director, for a strategy head.
100%.
Of course, that person is needed. But the fact is, sometimes that person ain't going to be there.
They can't be in all meetings and all the time. They can't be on all projects.
Or even that, it's just not functionally possible to have somebody doing that on all the projects, or even in that organization at that point.
Indeed.
So whilst the ideal solution is an army of dozens of strategic thinkers all across the business, sometimes that army of thinkers is what you need to have in the absence of a dedicated team or a dedicated role.
Yeah.
Perhaps even if you start building up that desire and that appreciation in the client again, to then be able to fill those roles.
Yeah. Is there anything we've missed on this topic?
Probably.
Cool. But we can have a follow-up.
A follow-up conversation, or follow-up with us, or follow-up with anybody who's interested in hearing more about this.
Brilliant. Thanks, Steve.
Great stuff.
Work can be tough, but you don't have to figure it out alone. We're here to help for coaching, workshops, or just a smart second opinion. Let's talk. Contact hello@artemisapac.com. We're Artemis, and we get it.